This is Work University, episode 28. This is Work University, and I'm Annalisa Felix. This is where I interview people from various employment backgrounds and get the inside scoop on what their job is really like. If you're just getting into the workforce, or if you're curious about getting into something new, listen up. Hello, today I am talking with JJ Harrison. JJ Harrison is a rodeo clown slash entertainer slash barrel man. Hello, JJ.
How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for joining me today.
Honored to be here.
For those who don't know, because I will tell you, I talked to someone this week who did not know what a rodeo clown was. What is a rodeo clown?
There's people that don't know what rodeo is. So, it's a rodeo clown is basically a court jester at times. If you think back in olden times when king and queen needed to entertain, they'd just run a court jester in front of them to do something funny to fill that lull in their life, fill that lull in the action. Rodeo is a sport anymore, and it's based off of a Western lifestyle that drives right off of ranches and all across the country. But anytime you're going to rely on animals or small children, they're going to make a fool out of you when you try to count on them. So you got to have somebody like me that fills that lull in the action. So rodeo goers go and watch the show, and when things get kind of hung up or when they need kind of something else to hold their attention, that's when I'll be on. And, you use a lot of comedy, a lot of crowd interaction, and that's kind of the entertainer part. The barrel man piece comes from more of a safety aspect. So in the bull riding, where a cowboy's strapping himself on to ride a 2,000-pound bull that clearly doesn't want him there, then the barrel actually acts as a safety island. So if the bull rider gets spun out a little too far, the bull, a lot of times they're going to turn right or left and spin and jump and buck, and it's extremely dangerous for the bull rider. So if he gets thrown down too far away from the fence, you can't outrun a bull, so he'll run to the barrel. And what that barrel does is it kind of acts as an island. He gets there, the bull's going to hit something, he'll try and hit that the barrel, hopefully, instead of the bull rider. And I'm the little idiot that's inside the barrel going, hey, hit me. So that's kind of the job in a nutshell.
So when the action is happening, say whether it be with a horse or a bull, you're actually in the ring while the actual event is happening.
I'm in the arena for everything. I'm in the arena through all the timed events. The only time I actually leave the arena, and this is just the way I do the job, the only time I leave the arena is during the barrel racing, because I wouldn't want to, the girls are running horses as fast as they can go around 3 barrels. It's a cloverleaf pattern, and any distraction could be dangerous for the animal, for the girls. So I try to stay out of the arena during barrel racing. But any other time, the action's going to be right in front of the rope and shoot, or right in front of the buck and shoots, and there's lots of spaces for me to be in and still be there, just in case. A lot of times it's just for entertainment. But there are those times, got lots of stories where I'm the first guy to the scene of the crash, and so it's nice to have somebody that's always watching.
Okay, so there's a couple of elements here. The positive entertainment element would be, say, when there is a lull between action and you're there to entertain, but then when there's an emergency happening, you kind of run to the scene and do your part, and that is to take the bull's attention away from the scene.
Yeah, a little bit. It's anytime, if you've ever worked cattle or if you've ever been around cattle a lot, sometimes cattle will get going and, they really aren't, their own self-preservation doesn't come into their mind. They're going to run, they're going to hit, a bull wants to hit something, the bull wants to, so we actually, and bullfighter is a different job than mine. I don't claim to be a bullfighter. The bullfighter is the 2 guys that stand right in front of the chute, and their job is to, reach out and touch the bull on the forehead and move him around, have him, as the bull's doing his thing, they really distract the bull to keep the bull from hitting the bull rider after he gets off or after he's bucked off. And my job is kind of that second string guy. I'm in the back that if it doesn't work the way they want it to up front, then my job is I'll either throw my hat to get the attention of the bull, or I'll try to whack the barrel, or I'll pick the barrel up and move it sometimes. It's a aluminum barrel, and the reason we pad it is because we don't want the bull hurt either. It's not like I want to have some thing where this bull's out there trying to get my guy, and then I want him to run over there and give himself a headache hitting a big heavy metal deal. You know, the barrel's made of aluminum, so it's a little bit lighter, but it's also padded because a lot of bulls, you know, they're going to hit something they don't know, and so they can actually hurt themselves. That's why we pad that barrel.
If they're running after you because you're trying to get their attention, have you ever been, you know, bucked or
injured?
Yeah.
Number one question we get in rodeo: you ever been hurt? And everybody has been hurt. It's one of those sports that if you don't love it, if it's not a part of who you are, people are going to look at it and think, man, that dude is an idiot. What in the world? You know, somebody inner city LA is not going to know anything about rodeo, is going to look at this and be like, what are these bucketheads doing? You know, why in the world? But that's anything. You know, I look at a guy that's taking a snowboard off a half pipe 30 feet in the air doing 3 different rolls and flips, and I think that guy's crazy. You know, so it's all our normal, what your normal is, and so it definitely is an extreme sport. I think it's probably America's original extreme sport. It
seems entertaining. You know, I see I see the costumes, I see the makeup, and I see the physical aspect of it. What about being a rodeo clown do we not know from the surface? What goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
Well, the behind the scene thing is that, you know, if you're in the NBA or you're in the NFL, you travel all across the country, but you do it in a jet. You do it in a pretty nice travel style. What you don't see with rodeo is that there's rodeos all over the country. There's rodeos going on right now as we speak, but to get to those, you've got to travel. And the way I travel, we drive everywhere. You know, I drive a truck and trailer and zigzag across the United States, kind of chasing that rodeo dream. And so the behind the scenes stuff is that when you go to a rodeo, it's fun. And this happens to me all the time. I'll go to Sisters, Oregon, and people will talk to me after the rodeo, and they will almost talk to me like this is the only rodeo I go to. Like I'm at this rodeo, and then I live under the bleachers all year, and boop, I pop back out for next year. Well, you know, I mean, they don't realize that, man, okay, I'm on my way to Belt, Montana next, to Sheridan, Wyoming. Then I go over to Ellenburg. Then I go to Canby. Then I go to Kennewick. Then I go, you know. So a lot of times people don't realize that, you know, this is a definite traveling job. And sometimes you'll drive 17, 18 hours to get to a rodeo. You work the rodeo that weekend, and then you're in the truck and you're headed 13 hours to go somewhere else. You know, for my kids, a 9-hour drive is not too bad. Where most kids would be like, oh my gosh, you know. But if it's 10 hours, my son starts to get a little bit itchy in the back. But for the first 9 hours, he got an iPad. I don't even hear from him. I don't even know he's back there.
What happens administratively? Is there any, you know, paperwork? Do you have to do marketing? Do you have to, you know, get some kind of secretarial skills in there? Taxes? I'm sure you're working for yourself. What is that like?
Yeah, so my job in terms of the paperwork, basically, I hire an agent, and my agent is in charge of endorsements, and she's great at what she does. I'm her only client. She does a lot of she works for rodeos. She's a marketing lady. I'm the only individual athlete that she works for, and she'll take care of a lot of that stuff. In terms of taxes, man, I've got an accountant, of course, and he hates me quite largely because my taxes are, you know, I got federal taxes like everybody, but then I do about 17 different state taxes. You know, when I go work in Minnesota, when I go work in Oregon, Idaho, Washington, you know, Wyoming, Montana. So what happens is sometimes, you know, you'll make, you know, $9,000 in the state or something, and you know it takes $10,000 to really reach the level where they tax this or that or whatever. So you'll pay. I mean, I've written checks for 35 cents to a state tax at the end of the year. I've written them for $7. I write a lot of them for a few $100, $700 or $800 here, $300 there to each state. But you know, I mean, the minute you don't pay it, then that red flags you and you get audited. And plus, I'm one of those guys. I think everybody should pay their share. But, lots of different state taxes. In terms of booking rodeos, though, a lot of mine is word of mouth. My marketing kind of done for me at this point. I worked really hard in the beginnings of my career to establish myself as what kind of entertainer I'm going to be, who I'm going to be, I'm not anti-alcohol, so this statement will seem that way, but a lot of people in my business are sponsored by alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a school teacher for 8 years, and when I started this job, it was like the third rodeo when they came out. They called me the Coors Barrel Man, J.J. Harrison. And at that time, I wasn't a Coors guy, and I never have been. But Coors is a great, great partner for the PRC, a great company, and a great product. But I didn't want to come out and be this guy for kids and have that stigma tied to me. I didn't want to be tied to an alcohol. And it's not that I have anything against Coors. I've met Pete Coors. There's a wonderful lady named Donna Kessler that runs the Coors program, and they sponsor a lot of barrelmen. So they'll put Coors on the barrel. But I've never wanted to take a dime from alcohol or tobacco. And when I retire, I'm going to be able to say that. And I think that as an entertainer for kids, I mean, primarily we do a lot of entertainment, and kids are our number one target at the rodeo. Basically, because if you entertain the kids, then the parents can enjoy the rodeo.
Yeah.
It's like free daycare, you know? I mean, come on.
So is there any part of the year that is more busy than the other?
Sure. Summertime, obviously. It's typically the summer will have probably somewhere between 7 to 12 rodeos a weekend somewhere in the United States. The wintertime, that's going to slow down a lot. We'll move indoors. You know, obviously we're not going to rodeo outdoors.
Yeah.
In the cold and stuff like that, just for safety of animals and people. But it does go year round, though, especially the big winter rodeos down in Texas. Denver is a great rodeo that I've worked in the past. Austin.
So when you're on or in the arena, are you the only one there, or are you part of a team? Say, is there 3 at a time, or does it vary?
In the bull riding, you're typically going to have 2 bullfighters and myself, a barrel man. Any other time in the arena, nope, just me. There'll be judges in the arena, but we try to keep the arena pretty clear. So you want to make sure that there's, the ground is worked up soft for the critters, and you want to make sure that there's no real distractions, not a lot of distractions. And that's why my job is strange like that, because here I am hired to be a distraction. When a chute breaks, or when a calf lays down and won't stand up, that's a lull in the action. And so I'm hired to be the distraction while they work on that, while they fix whatever's broken. I'm the guy over here going, hey, look at me. So I'm paid to be a distraction, but at the same time, as soon as the action's back, you want to stop. But think of it like this. You think of a stand-up comedian on stage. Go to, downtown Chicago, a comedy club. There's a guy up on stage, and he may have a delivery that is funny. It may not be just a joke. Anybody can read the words of a joke, but there's people who have a delivery. Sure. And sometimes the way they tell that joke, they stop, they pause, they look at you kind of through the top of their eyelids, or they shake their head real slow, and that's what makes it funny. With my job, it's you got to have that same type of comedy. The stage is my arena, but I've got a guy going, hey, you're on, we're hold up, or I just look and see, oh, we're hung up. So I'm going to jump in, I'm going to start into something. But the second that the action is ready to continue, they will run right over the top of me. So it'd be like that guy in the Chicago stage doing his joke. Right when he gets to his punchline, some guy comes out and goes, okay, we're good, shut up. So you have lots of little quick stuff, little things that can be fast. I've had power outages where I filled 23 minutes, 23 minutes of just me being out there. And so at those times, you want to do a lot of cell phone flashlights and sing-alongs and crowd interaction. Go get people up into the crowd. I'm a big dancer. I love to dance and get people going. And not that I'm a good dancer. I'm probably terrible, but I got that awesome white guy rhythm that when I get it going, it's funny. It's funny to watch because
Would you say you're able to read a crowd and tailor your delivery to what's happening?
I have been reading people since I was a kid. And I think, I was voted a class clown. I was in college. I was an entertainer. In fact, I was asked to be a butch at Washington State University. A lot of people thought I was the mascot. I've always been in that entertainment where I'm always thinking, and it comes from my mother. Early, we would have parties at the house, and she would tell me, you need to talk to everybody that's here. You need to make sure everybody feels comfortable. I've never lost that. When somebody's in the room, if I see somebody sitting by themselves and I feel like they're uncomfortable, man, I'm the first guy to shoot over there and visit with them. I just like people. I want people happy. I want people to find joy. I mean, obviously there's people that drive me crazy, and I'd rather knock them out, put them in the hospital. But there's just this draw to, you just want people to be happy. You want people to feel good, and especially at my event. You know, I take pride and I take ownership in the rodeo, and this is my rodeo. So I want every fan there to enjoy it, to feel welcome, to feel comfortable. And I think that's why a lot of people who are first time, maybe even second or third time rodeo goers, really enjoy my style, because nobody's out of place. And I do rodeos in San Bernardino, San Dimas, Poway. These are suburbs of LA and San Diego. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are on the other side of rodeo. They you know, the animal activist side of it. And so it's kind of nice when we get people who are there for their first time. They're not sure which way they believe. They're not really sure, and they come, they enjoy it. They see the way we're behaving. They see the way we're treating critters, and they become a fan. And that's kind of a positive.
Now, from a career aspect, if somebody wants to get into this job and say maybe look into it as a career and spend some time on it, what can they look at as far as education, earning potential, you know, down the line? Any advice you can give somebody wanting to get into this business?
You bet. I'm a fan of education. I've got a master's degree myself. I was a school teacher for 8 years before jumping into this job that requires no education. But what I tell people is, look, this is, as we talked about in the beginning, this is a job where you can get hurt. I've had 3 knee surgeries. I just got a hip replacement 2 months ago, so I've got a titanium hip now. I've cracked my skull. There's so many injuries. Yeah. So before you jump into something like this, create your backup plan. Create your plan. It's going to, you know, if something happens to me, I fall back onto a master's degree in education, and that's not a bad job.
Sure.
So that's the first piece of advice I always give people. If you're going to get into some kind of extreme sport, what's your backup plan going to be? If you're going to dive head first into something and it doesn't work, because this is a tough field. It really is. People that don't know rodeo, people that haven't grown up in rodeo, it's going to be difficult to develop the timing that you need. Watching when the bull in the chute is hung up. When I say hung up, like he's laid down or he's leaning on the guy's leg in the chute, and you know the guy won't nod his head. Those types of little lulls, you got to know what those are and what they look like. And to somebody that's new to rodeo, that's going to be really hard. So you're going to start in on a joke while the announcer, who you work closely with, who's up in the booth, you're going to end up talking over him or creating where both of you guys are trying to talk at the same time, and that creates kind of a cluster feel to the show.
Yeah.
So you want to try and work on timing. So the advice, to get back to your question, I would say if you're not a rodeo person, start going. Start going to a lot of them. Start watching the entertainer, watch the clown, watch the barrelman, watch what they do that you like. Take notes on it. I mean, I get people steal my stuff all the time. I've got one guy that calls me every now and then, hey, I'm going to do this. You know, yeah, it's my stuff. I started it, but there's no patent on stuff like that. Yeah. So my response to him every time is go for it. Go make it your own. You know, you kind of want to have, you want to stand out in anybody, any job. You want to stand out doing podcasts. You want to stand out as a rodeo clown. You want to stand out if you're in politics. You want to stand out. But there's something to be said for being a good coworker, being a good colleague. And that's what I want to be. I want to be one of those guys that people have no problem calling and visiting with.
Yeah. What about earning potential for somebody starting out?
Starting out, you know, it's going to vary. It's such a widely varying deal. When I started, I was a school teacher. I made $49,000 a year. This was in 2008. And I told myself that, you know, I was starting this rodeo clown thing. I had done 3 events is all I had done. But people were really kind of clamoring at me and, you should do more, So I thought, okay, well, here's what I'll do. I'll work all summer and a little bit, you know, the rodeos that I could do over the year. But I'll work 3 months, and then it ended up being about 3.5 months worth of rodeos. So basically 15 or 16 rodeos. And I told myself that if I could match my teaching salary in that short amount of time, then I'd feel comfortable to step away and add more rodeos to supplement and those types of things. And what I did it the first year. So
you know,
if you work hard at it, you can definitely make some money in this. If you want that person, you're willing to pay.
Yeah.
If that's the guy you want him at your rodeo, then you're willing to pay. and it can be great. There's lots of things that you can grow into, like endorsements. Those are and I've got great companies that I work with.
I have learned so much in the last 22 minutes about rodeo. Yeah. Thank you so much for, first of all, your time and so many years of experience that you shared with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. We'll get some makeup on you, and you'll just be ready to be a rodeo clown.
Take care.
All right.
Thank you for listening. I hope you liked this episode. If you have a particular job you'd like me to look into, send me an email at workuniversityforyou@gmail.com. That's workuniversity, the number 4, the letter U, @gmail.com. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.